This is the Primary Arms PLx mount. Cantilever, of course, in 30 MOA with a 0 MOA cant. This obviously comes in both 30 and 34, 0 and 24 MOAs if you need that little extra reach. On the box, it's very simple, but it does make one very important distinction: made in the USA. These are $250 if you were to buy them new, and as you can see, they come with a pretty good assortment of components, but we'll be checking those out momentarily. The rest of the box is very simple, and I actually quite prefer that. Inside, we have the mount and an installation tool. Installation tools, I should say. This looks like a T15. This looks like a T25 or a 27. I'll confirm it momentarily. Yep, according to my cheap driver set, it is a T25. These are pretty standard affairs for most Primary Arms products, so it's nice to see that they've standardized across the board. As for the mount itself, this looks really nice. Made in the USA, just underneath the Primary Arms name and logo, with all the other information on the opposite side. This doesn't feel too heavy. On my non-calibrated scale, it tops in at exactly 6 ounces. I don't have anything else to compare it against, except for this Alex's Homebrew 30 MOA, 0 MOA cantilever mount. Comes in at 4.6 ounces, but as you can see, it is a substantially, I'm not going to say flimsier, but thinner and smaller and overall lighter piece of equipment. 6 ounces is not terrible, especially when you look underneath and you see that there are genuinely 5 different locking lugs for your pick rail. That is impressive. And while we're down here, we're going to loosen up these screws just to see how everything is fitted and put together. Using the included T25 T-handle, we're going to loosen these up just to see how the claw works. Claw engagement is about 3 inches long, with the locking lugs on the opposite side being about a ½ inch long, and there are 3 of them. The 2 blocks on the inside do look fairly robust, and we will be testing this out on a pick rail momentarily. One thing that I've noticed that I really appreciate is that they are using steel inserts on the opposite side for the threads, meaning there's a shoulder on the inside of this pocket. The steel threaded insert is then pressed in, and when you go to tighten up this screw to draw this bar closed, you have steel on steel engagement for the threads. You don't have to worry about pulling the threads out. In fact, if you pull these threads out, you did something extremely wrong, like put it on a hydraulic press. Let's put it on top of the pick rail and see how it engages. Very minimal play forward and back. And side to side doesn't really matter, but I'm going to snug this one up just so we can see what it looks like profile-wise when it's attached to a rail. I've got to say that looks pretty good. It doesn't look too obtrusive, and it's got a nice hybrid look to it. It doesn't look too flimsy, but it also looks kind of rugged. It's very, very nice. Continuing along the bottom, we have the 2 blocks. They look good. We have the steel inserts for the threads. Those look really good. And everything else seems to have a really nice finish to it. As far as the scratch test with the nail on the anodizing, it actually is pretty good. It feels very smooth and velvety. It doesn't feel super shiny. It doesn't feel super grippy. It cleans off okay enough. You can see there's a couple of marks there, but it's got a really velvety feel to it. It's quite lovely. The bottom part of this looks exceptional. It fits on a pick rail very nicely, and that's great to see. And I love the fact that this has steel inserts on the side. It doesn't increase the weight all that much, I would reckon, but yet it gives you a much more durable and robust product. As far as the crossbar underneath, it's a little bit narrow, but it's not the narrowest I've seen. I do prefer this being a little bit wider because I come in here with a precision 6-inch scale, and this is how I typically level out my optics, and they come in really, 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 really close when you get it just right. The wider this surface is, the easier it is for me to come in here and index a scale like this to make sure that the scope is leveled. And I will say I have a very high track record of that. So this is not the widest, but it is far and away not the narrowest. So middle of the road. One thing I will note is that there's no room for expansion on the mount itself. Typically on the higher end mounts, you'll see that there's some sort of threaded holes on either side. So this way you could run offset mounts or different accessories. This does not offer anything like that. Now you can buy different caps for this if you want to run an offset red dot, but it would be nice to see a couple of threaded holes somewhere on here. So this way, if you wanted to run something directly off the side, you can. Is it the end of the world? No, because for the $250-ish that this costs, the fact that it's American made and so far seeming pretty good is really not that unacceptable. Using the included T15 driver, we're going to remove one of these caps and take a look inside. Now, Primary Arms on the box claims that these are 12.9 grade hardware, meaning that they are very, very strong if true. I will say that even though there's no real way for me to test this, the finish on this hardware is shinier than most. It definitely is not your regular run-of-the-mill, inexpensive, cheap stuff. So I would reckon that this is genuinely pretty hard stuff, which is good, which means that the likelihood of you snapping one of these by over-torquing it is extremely minimal. Again, for caps, you should only be running it at about 18 inch-pounds maximum anyway. In fact, if you go harder than that in some scope brands, you could void the warranty. As far as how it looks with the screws and the cap in place, the screws come directly to the bottom of this little pocket that they milled out. I reckon that it's this way when they tapped this, they didn't have to worry about breaking any taps, or if something does break inside, you can easily try to drill it from the bottom side to remove it without having to go from the top side down, which can be a problem. As far as how it looks with the cap in place, I'd have to say it looks pretty solid. No real issues there. Everything lines up quite nicely. But let's take a look at it now that the cap has been removed. We'll look at the base first. I'll change my camera's exposure settings so we could look a little bit closer at the finish on this. And I can't see any sort of imperfections on the tooling marks. There is a little relief cut on the side, and that is so that when you put a scope in here, it doesn't pinch and cause any problems. As far as the cap itself, it is basically mirrored from the mount base, but we have a larger chamfer than we do have a relief cut. Overall, the fit and finish on this cap is quite nice. Just a little bit of dirt that is picked up on my table. The anodizing is pretty even. You can see a little bit of tool markings on this chamfer, but that is a non-critical surface. This is the far more critical component, and can't really tell a whole lot. Nothing that I could feel with the nail. In fact, right there you could see a couple minor ridges going lengthwise. Almost like these were wire EDM'd. You could even see them on the flats under here. I don't feel anything with the nail, so I'd imagine that's not super problematic or going to be problematic. Looking one more time at the mount base itself, I don't really see anything that would cause any problems. With all that being said, it's time to put our trusty SWFA 16X in here and see if this is good enough to return to zero. Before I get this scope fully mounted, I wanted to show you just how nicely the actual mount is machined. The tube on my SWFA has seen some slightly better days, but it's still well within spec. And if we sit it in the mount like so, there's zero wiggle. In fact, I'm shaking my entire desk before the optic shifts inside the mount. If we were to take a clamp on top, put a little bit of finger pressure on it, it is beautifully machined. You find us behind the SWFA Fixed 16X, my old trusty workhorse for doing this test. Currently, the mount is secured to the pick rail at the recommended 30 or so inch-pounds. They recommend 30 to 35 inch-pounds. I opted for 30. Everything is torqued down because there are 3 screws. We're going to be doing the middle one, then the front, then the rear, and then doing it once more. So we're going to be doing one round of torque, then another, just to make sure everything is perfectly seated and making sure that this returns to zero. As you can already see, The scope is perfectly set up for my tracking target, so all we have to do is make sure that the crosshair lines up perfectly with my target. If anything, it might be favoring a slight bit left, but anything within that realm I'd be very happy with. So what I'm going to do now is loosen all 3 screws, wiggle the scope in the mount around so this way you can see that it's loose, push the mount forward, torque it down middle, front, rear, do that twice, and then reassess. That looks really good. It looks like it might be favoring the right side of that line, but that's well within 1/10 of a mil, so I'm very happy. Let's do this one more time. Looks like we're back at exactly where we were when we first started. Again, well within 1/10. Let's do it one more time for good luck. There you have it, 3 for 3. It's basically as perfect as you could possibly get. Well, there you have it, folks. This thing returns to 0 absolutely perfectly. Overall, the fit, finish, build quality on this thing is quite high. It's very nice, and it's fairly lightweight. There isn't a whole lot not to like about this. However, it must be maintained that despite the fact that this is made in the US of A, at least that's what they claim right there, out of 7075 and some very high grade steel hardware, there are other American-made options for a little bit less. To name one, the Midwest Industries cantilever mount, their Gen 2s, $185, about 8 ounces. They come with lots of lugs on the bottom. They come with a lot of different accessory mounting points. You can get them in different diameters and different heights. And that's like a really compelling argument, because that's an exceptionally good mount, I would reckon. Their Gen 1 stuff was great. I wouldn't believe that their Gen 2 stuff was any worse. Then you can get offerings from Leupold and Seekins all for about the same price as this. Now, am I telling you not to buy this? No. If you're already buying a lot from Primary Arms, I think this is a really good option. If they run these on sale, I think that would be a no-brainer. I'm just throwing out different options for you. Overall, I'm very happy to see an American-made mount, and I'm very happy to see one that is made to this standard. I'm very happy to see things that just work as intended, and this certainly does that. So, with all that being said, thank you all very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you again next time. And a huge thank you to my Patreon providers and my Subscribe subscribers. Without you, this truly wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to support my channel but don't want to join either of those, I completely understand. But you could still help by using my affiliate links in the description below, and or like, share, and subscribe as always. Again, thank you very much.